YOLO, my fellow human beings, and welcome to episode 20 of The Best Blessed Life. I'm your best host, Kristen, and today's topic is success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts. We can thank Winston Churchill for those words of wisdom that I kind of live by on a daily basis these days. But before we get started, I want to thank everybody for watching. Please continue to watch. Comment, share, like, subscribe, ring the bell, and please pass them along to people you know that they can help. Also, I don't want us to forget about our 2 challenges that we got going on. We got our Moolah for Maui. At least that's what I'm calling my workout savings account. Just remember, you want to pay yourself a decent amount. You've earned it, right? So when you go back and you've reached your goal, you should have a big chunk of change to buy something really important that when you look back at your time going through this, you look at that watch and go, I did that. That was me. I made that goal, and now I'm headed to a different one, a better one, a higher goal. And just keep going. And then the next one is the 21 Days of Gratefulness, or I'm aiming for 365, but 3 things you're grateful for every day helps rewire your brain for some positivity and, happiness. Keep in mind it doesn't work every day, but gratefulness is always greatly appreciated. And then we're going to talk about our positive word of the day. It is actually in the title of the show, which is courage. The ability to do something that frightens you. Now, when I saw that, I said, okay, I'm doing it. No, I don't like the word frightens. Something about that just, I don't know, bothers me. I'm not frightened. I'm like, challenged. Challenges you. Because I think it takes courage to even do some simple things sometimes. So I don't think it has to scare you to death in order for it to mean something. And I also want to talk about my hat today. I am wearing my Blackhawks hat because I'm a huge Blackhawks fan, for one thing. But 2, my son goes to the University of Denver, and he's a video production assistant there and does a lot of the sporting events there. And Ian Mitchell went to University of Denver, played hockey for us. I say us like I'm on the team. And so therefore it's kind of an homage to Ian for finally coming and playing with us, and I hope you like Chicago. I hope you're enjoying it here. We really enjoy having you here, and we hope to kick some ass really, really soon. Okay, so let's talk about this topic. It seems a little hefty for episode 20, but it's also kind of, I want to dispel that kind of, it's got to be all or nothing, dramatic or simplistic. I don't want it to be this kind of overwhelming thing. Like baby steps. I've been saying that since day 1. We're going to take baby steps together, and we're on step 20, so to speak. Right? If you think about our episodes and stages, steps, you don't know if they all go together. Excuse me. I don't know if they all go together as far as telling a story. But I feel like I'm playing out everything that does scare me on this channel. But I also think to myself, what does it mean? Okay, does it mean that I should keep going? Or does stupidity come into play? When have I crossed the line from courage and I'm going to keep going to, why is this girl so stupid? Why does she keep putting out? So where is that flip? In my mind, as long as I'm getting out of it what I wanted to, I feel like I should keep going. I feel like I'm accomplishing things within my own self that are monumental. I almost feel like there's epiphanies happening in small stages. I keep going, wow, my goodness, why didn't I think of that before? Why didn't that align right? Like, so that's why I keep saying to you, like, are these epiphanies telling me I'm in the right space? Am I doing the right thing? Am I putting the right me out there? Or is it just me playing a game with myself and every person that watches is just looking for me to fail? I don't think so. I don't think I have people like that out there in my life. And I would hope that no one is expecting anyone to fail. I would hope that in your life of trying to earn a more positive goal is to think positively about people you know. So even if you have to say you're grateful for somebody you're not necessarily that happy with, it will change your brain to, I don't know, maybe tolerate them next time. And then if you're grateful for them again, maybe you'll kind of like them. You know, we can hang. Every time might just get a little bit better. So things like that and keep popping into my head. So I keep calling them epiphanies, right? And one of them that keeps happening in my head, and there are several songs that keep, and several little snippets from songs. So the first one that keeps popping into my head is Just Keep Swimming. And it's from Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. You know, and she's wagging her tail. Because she can't remember, you know, she has to remind herself to just keep swimming. But in that, she's also using it as a mantra to calm herself and give herself the strength to never give up. I just looked that up yesterday. So that was like one of my 17th epiphanies yesterday. I don't know. To never give up. Never give up. And when I looked at that and I looked at the way Dory is portrayed, yes, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. She doesn't remember things, which is what I'm now dealing with a little bit. But I feel like in her reminding herself to just keep swimming, she's also kind of reminding herself that she's had the courage to come this far already. You know, just keep swimming. Like if she looked back behind her, she could, I mean, the ocean is vast, yes, and there's no mile markers or anything like that in the ocean. But you can look back and see you're not where you were before. You know? You're not where you started when you first started this adventure, challenge, frightening thing, whatever you want to call it. But it's the courage to just, it's not even courage to keep swimming. It's just, like, if you don't swim, you're going to drown. Right? Like, if you're a fish, if you don't swim, what happens? Either you've been eaten by somebody, or you drowned. Those are two very unpositive things, right? We don't want to think of either of those things happening. So, it said right in the thing that I looked up, and I wish I would remember where I saw it at. And it says it gives her the strength to never, gives her the strength to just keep swimming. Now, for most people that know how to swim, that's no feat, right? But for me, I'm not the greatest swimmer in the world. But if I reminded myself to keep swimming and I did that, I consider that an accomplishment. It was like survival of the fittest, or fight or flight, whatever you want to call it. Stay or run like the Dickens. If you're caught, if you're a deer in the headlights, they freeze, right? But then, what happens? We can't freeze. We got to keep swimming. Right? And then the other one that keeps sticking in my brain, and I had to Google it on my phone because I didn't want to write it all out, sorry, is, I think it was the 80s. No, actually, it's probably the 90s. There was a cartoon called The Animaniacs, and they're actually bringing it back. And there was Looney Tunes on there, but there was also a cartoon called Pinkie and the Brain. And Brain, they're both mice. One's this tall, skinny, squirrely looking thing that is, appears to not be very smart. Okay? That's Pinkie. And then you have the short little guy, mouse, with this ginormous brain. Like, you can see how it has just formed his head because it's just so huge. And Pinkie says, "Gee, Brain, what are we going to do tonight?" And Brain says, "The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world." The same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world. And that sticks with me. Like, I thought that cartoon was so funny. And it always looks as though Pinkie's asking ridiculous questions to Brain about what he's trying to do to make something go wrong. Brain is constantly the evil side, right? So he's constantly trying to mess things up for somebody else. So Pinkie, in his infinite wisdom, tries to make Brain rethink the way he's doing things. Right? But he's going about it in a way that makes Brain thinks he knows that he's the brain, right? Pinkie makes it so that it looks like the brain came up with the idea. And he makes it sound so ridiculous and so silly and funny. And I believe they even have British accents. I don't recall. It's written or directed or whatever you want to call it by Steven Spielberg. It's just the cutest show. But there is something more in depth about it. Like I was saying, it makes it seem as though the brain is the brain. But Pinkie really leads him to the right direction. Which is usually undoing all of his evilness, I think. Or it blows up in his face, one or the other. It's kind of like the Roadrunner, Wile E. Coyote, right? But it would be like if the brain were, it would be like Wile E. Coyote setting up his own disaster and then having the anvil fall on his own head, kind of. But the reason I bring up these quotes is because they've kind of gotten me through a lot of the things that I've been trying to work out in, not just in my life, but maybe to help other people work out things in their life. I don't just feel like these epiphanies happen to me. I feel like these epiphanies are happening so that I can bring them to you so that you can see them. Shine a light on them, make them more pronounced, because they are the minutest of epiphanies. You know what I mean? Like, these aren't things that are like knocking me over. They make me go, oh my gosh. But they're not making me I don't know, think I'm Gandhi or making me think I'm saving the world. That is not my way of thinking when I'm doing this. Excuse me. Sorry, got a tickle. What I mean by these shows is that this is where I want to talk, where I want to speak, where I want to let my voice come out. because I feel like during the day, just speaking throughout, just being my everyday self, I feel like it's a waste of speech. Excuse me, everything is falling at the same time. I don't want to say a waste of speech, but I feel like I'm done. Like, I think I've said everything every day that I can say. I know that sounds weird, but I don't want to talk as much anymore. So I use this platform to speak, right? And I'm on Spotify, so you can hear me. And I am starting or working on a blog, and I will get you that information shortly. I want to solidify some more things first, grammar and all that good fun stuff. But that should be coming out shortly. So that's writing, and I just feel like I've covered how do I want to say it? Like, I don't want to speak any more than is necessary. And I feel like that's what I'm getting through this channel, is I feel like every day I'm learning that I am talking myself to death. And it's just literally everyday things that just, I feel like I'm yelling for people to hear me, because they're either talking over me. And I've just decided that it isn't worth the yelling and the aggravation to say something that, one, I've already probably said, and two, makes people stop talking and start listening to what's happening or not happening on a daily basis. It's weird because I found that I'm playing it out. I don't know how to put it. It's not like I'm practicing. I mean, this is what I'm doing. But I'm finding that people find that they need to fill the space that I used to fill with my talking. So it's allowing them to speak, I guess. To be heard. And I feel like that's their time. It's their time now. I don't want to say I'm all spoke out. I mean, I will talk. I just don't want to over talk. I don't want to overstate like I am right now. But I feel like I'm not explaining it right either. That's the other thing. Like, I'm aggravated that it's just taking me this long to I don't know, try something different. You know, they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I am now trying something different. I don't want to be heard unless I have a story to tell. Does that make sense? Like, I'm visualizing like my grandparents. And they didn't talk as much as I do. And maybe that's just like, I think I was always defending myself growing up. So I feel like I just have kept doing that because everybody keeps asking me why. And when I realize it's not really me that needs to answer that question because you've already heard the answer, you're just speaking out loud, that I'm going to stop I guess that's where the stupidity, the epiphany, that whole thing, continuing, courage to continue, stupid. So I broke it down for you. If you saw me play that out in my head, that'll never happen again on camera. So I hope I got it, because I can't redo this episode. I can't edit. I told you that before. I'm horrible at it. But I hope that made sense. Like, I just broke it down in steps for myself and really worked it out for you live. For lack of a better way of putting it. Yeah. Everyone has their time. You know, I feel like you're first the speaker, and then you get to the level of listener, which I feel like I am. And then I feel like there's one more level where you're just a minder. Or, I don't want to say a brainer. I said a minder. Because you just, I don't know how to describe it. Like you're just, I don't want to say you're omnipotent, because that sounds so, yucky. I think you reach that level of just being able to observe, right? The talking and the listening. You sit silently in the background. I feel like that's how grandparents become. They're the minders. Does that make sense? Like we're talking when we're young. We're listening when we're in our middle ages. And I feel like as we progress, that we then become the just the observers, the watchers, the lookers, I guess. Speak, hear, see? Or do we want to say that? But I think you reach those things at different times in your life. And I use those age ranges as just an example. You could reach any of those things at different times in your life for different reasons. And I feel like the more you pay attention to the smallest little signs, they say even songs on the radio. Like when I was videoing this episode yesterday that totally bombed, Don't Stop Believin' came on the radio. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm not going to stop believing that I'm hitting just one person. That's what I hope. That I just ring that note with one person today. Now, I have a challenge to myself going on to acknowledge women in my life. And I have two today that I want to acknowledge that have to deal with the word courage, but for two kind of completely different reasons. So, for the first one, I want to acknowledge Jocelyn Gebhardt, who is my husband's cousin, and her and her husband live in Denver. And they have been beautiful support for me for these last 4 years. Just to know they're close by is comforting. But to know that they can go to all the productions and things, and even now that they're streaming them online and they're watching them and giving Jordan kudos, kind of gave me the courage to leave him 1,000 miles away from home, you know? How that goes? So, bless you, Jocelyn Gebhardt. And when we can hug again, I want a huge one. And Bob, you both are fantastic, but I'm praising women, so sorry, Bob. You're fantastic. He's a great guide if you want to learn some great places to go in Denver. So, sorry about that. And then, So I want to thank you guys for giving me the courage to leave my son 1,000 miles away from home and still feel like there's somebody close by just there. And then the second person I want to acknowledge is Xenia Prosek. She's an amazing lady, and she also does wonderful crafts. So if you ever need some beautiful holiday things, Xenia's your lady. But I want to acknowledge her because she was always my support. She was my support, but she sometimes gave me courage to stand up to my boss when I know I couldn't have done it if she wasn't there. I mean, nor would my boss have ever have spoken to Xenia that way either. So, I want to thank you, Xenia. You probably didn't know that. But there were several times in the kitchen when we would be loading meals for everybody that she would come in and just say the not so nice things to me, and you were there, and it just made me feel better. So I want to thank you for that. Oh my goodness. Whew. Excuse me for that. With that being said, I think that ends episode 20. I want to thank you guys all for watching. These are happy tears. Promise. Please continue to watch. Please pass them on to people you know that they can help. I know there's a little snippet in there somewhere that just makes somebody go, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? Because I do that when I watch other videos. It's like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? I just want you guys all to know how grateful I am that you watch and that you are such a great support system to me. So please continue to do so. And I want to close the episode the way I always close every episode, which is please have a good day. Go do great things. Be your best self. And please live your best blessed life. Thanks for watching.